What if the voice in your head is the difference between mediocrity and mastery? What if every limiting belief, every self-doubt, every moment of hesitation comes from the same source that could lift you to extraordinary heights? Close your eyes for just one moment and listen to that inner dialogue right now. Are you building yourself up or tearing yourself down? Most people never realize they're conducting a daily war inside their own minds. The battlefield isn't visible, but the casualties are real. Dreams get buried under "I'm not good enough." Opportunities disappear behind "I'll never succeed." Potential shrinks beneath "I don't deserve better." This isn't philosophy, this is neuroscience. Your brain literally rewires itself based on what you tell yourself every single day. Think about that for a moment. Your thoughts aren't just passing clouds in the sky of your consciousness. They're construction workers. They're building either a prison or a palace in your mind, one word at a time. Every time you say "I can't," you're laying another brick in the wall that keeps you stuck. Every time you say "I'm trying," you're planting seeds of mediocrity. But every time you say "I'm capable," you're building bridges to possibilities you haven't even discovered yet. This isn't some abstract concept reserved for self-help books. Scientists at Harvard Medical School have proven that positive self-talk literally changes brain chemistry. When you speak to yourself with encouragement, your brain releases neurotransmitters that boost confidence, reduce stress, and increase problem-solving abilities. When you criticize yourself, your brain floods with cortisol, the stress hormone that shuts down creativity and decision-making. Your inner voice isn't just psychological, it's biological. But here's what makes this even more powerful. Your brain cannot distinguish between what's real and what you vividly imagine. When you tell yourself, "I am confident," your neural pathways fire the same way as when you actually experience confidence. When you repeat, "I am growing stronger," your mind begins to believe it because it has no other reference point. This is why athletes visualize victory, why speakers practice their talks in front of mirrors, why successful people write their goals as if they've already achieved them. The tragedy is that most people treat themselves worse than they would treat a stranger. If a friend told you that you're worthless, you'd distance yourself from that toxicity immediately. If a colleague said you'd never amount to anything, you'd probably stop taking their advice. Yet somehow, the voice in your own head gets a free pass to destroy your potential every single day. But what if you flipped the script? What if instead of being your own worst enemy, you became your own greatest ally? What if every morning you woke up and declared war on your doubts instead of surrendering to them? What if you treated yourself with the same kindness, encouragement, and belief that you'd show your best friend on their darkest day? This isn't about becoming arrogant or delusional. This is about becoming honest with your own power. Every human being walking this earth has untapped potential that's being strangled by self-limiting beliefs. Champions aren't born different. They simply learn to speak to themselves differently. They discovered that the voice in their head could either be their greatest coach or their cruelest critic. The question isn't whether you should control your self-talk. It's whether you can afford not to. Your relationships, your career, your health, your happiness, all of it is being shaped by the conversation you're having with yourself right now. And if that conversation sounds anything like the doubts, fears, and limitations that have kept you stuck until today, then it's time for a revolution. Because here's the truth that changes everything. You get to choose which voice wins. You get to decide what story you tell yourself about your own life. And when you start telling yourself the story of someone who's capable, growing, and destined for greatness, that story starts becoming your reality. The words you speak to yourself today are literally building the life you'll live tomorrow. Your potential has been locked in a cage of your own making, held captive by the false belief that you've already reached your limits. But what if everything you thought was impossible is actually just beginning? What if the ceiling you keep bumping your head against is nothing more than an illusion you've accepted as reality? Stop for one moment and consider this terrifying truth. You have been operating at a fraction of your capacity, not because you lack ability, but because you lack belief. Harvard's groundbreaking research on the psychology of achievement reveals something extraordinary. Belief drives performance more than talent ever could. In study after study, researchers found that individuals who believed they could improve consistently outperformed those with natural gifts who doubted themselves. Your brain literally reorganizes itself to support what you believe is possible. When you tell yourself, "I am capable of more than I think," you're not just speaking words. You're sending a signal to every cell in your body that it's time to break through. This isn't wishful thinking. This is biological fact. Your nervous system responds to conviction the same way it responds to physical training. Every time you push past what you previously thought was your limit, your brain creates new neural pathways. Every time you accomplish something you didn't think possible, your mind expands its definition of what's achievable. The person who told you to dream small was either afraid or ignorant of this fundamental truth about human potential. Consider the marathon runner who discovers they can run 50 miles instead of 26. Consider the student who struggled with mathematics until they decided they were naturally gifted at it. Consider the entrepreneur who built an empire after years of believing they were destined for mediocrity. What changed wasn't their DNA. What changed was their internal narrative about what they were capable of achieving. Your brain is the most adaptable organ in your body. Neuroplasticity means your mind can rewire itself at any age, in any circumstance. The 60-year-old who learns a new language, the parent who returns to college, the person who overcomes a lifelong fear, they all prove the same principle. Human capability is vastly underestimated by those who haven't learned to unlock it. But here's what makes this even more urgent. Every time you accept a limitation as permanent, you're programming your subconscious to protect you from disappointment by keeping you small. Your mind is trying to help you by staying within familiar boundaries. The problem is that growth happens outside those boundaries. Comfort zones are beautiful places, but nothing ever grows there. When you tell yourself, I am capable of more than I think, you're not just boosting your confidence, you're challenging your brain to prove itself wrong about its own restrictions. You're giving your subconscious permission to access resources you didn't even know existed. This is why breakthrough moments often happen when people least expect them, because the brain has been working behind the scenes to reorganize itself around new beliefs. The evidence is overwhelming. Olympic athletes visualize success because their minds can't distinguish between imagined achievement and real achievement. Students who are told they're gifted performers actually improve more than those with identical abilities who aren't given that information. Your expectations literally become your results because your brain works tirelessly to make your beliefs become your reality. Stop measuring your potential against your past performance. Stop comparing your insides to other people's outsides. Your current situation is not your final destination. It's just your starting point. The person you're meant to become is already inside you, waiting for you to stop underestimating what's possible. Every expert was once a beginner. Every champion was once someone who refused to accept their limitations. Your excuses are louder than your ambitions, but they don't have to be. Your fears are bigger than your dreams, but they're not stronger. The voice that tells you to stay small is familiar because you've been listening to it for years, but familiarity isn't the same as truth. Truth is that you contain multitudes of possibility that you haven't even begun to explore. Right now, in this moment, you're standing at the edge of what you think you know about yourself. Beyond that edge lies everything you're capable of becoming. The bridge between where you are and where you want to be is built with one simple declaration: I am capable of more than I think. Say it until you believe it. Believe it until you become it. Because the version of yourself that's waiting on the other side of this belief is the person you were always meant to be. Perfection is the thief of progress, silently stealing your momentum while you wait for the perfect moment that will never come. How many dreams have died on the altar of when it's ready? How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers because you were too busy polishing what you should have been launching? The pursuit of flawless execution has destroyed more potential than failure ever could, and it's time to break free from this paralyzing illusion. Psychology has a name for this destructive pattern. It's called the perfectionism paradox. The very desire to do something perfectly often prevents people from doing it at all. Researchers at Stanford University discovered that perfectionists consistently achieve less than their imperfect counterparts, not because they lack ability, but because they lack the courage to begin before they're finished. Your masterpiece is waiting for you on the other side of messy, imperfect action. Consider this revolutionary truth. Every expert was once a beginner who refused to wait. Every masterpiece was once a rough draft. Every empire was once a single step taken despite uncertainty. The Mona Lisa has imperfections that art critics debate to this day, yet it remains one of humanity's greatest achievements. The first iPhone was clunky, limited, and far from perfect, yet it revolutionized the world. Progress always trumps perfection. Your brain is wired to learn through iteration, not perfection. Neuroscientists have discovered that the most effective way to master any skill is through rapid experimentation, failure, and adjustment. Every mistake isn't a setback, it's data. Every imperfect attempt isn't failure, it's feedback. The people who achieve greatness aren't those who avoid errors, they're those who embrace them as stepping stones to excellence. But here's what makes this even more compelling. Comparison is the death of joy and the enemy of progress. You're looking at someone else's highlight reel and measuring it against your behind-the-scenes struggles. You're seeing their polished results and forgetting their messy process. What took them years to perfect, you're expecting to execute flawlessly on your first try. This isn't realistic, it's ridiculous. The compound effect of daily progress is more powerful than occasional perfection. 1 hour of consistent practice every day will outperform 4 hours of sporadic effort every week. Small daily actions stack like compound interest, creating exponential results over time. The person who writes 1 page every day finishes their book before the person who writes 7 pages once a week, but then disappears for months. Your fear of imperfection is actually protecting you from the vulnerability of trying. But vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. When you release your death grip on perfection, you free up enormous mental energy that was being wasted on worry and procrastination. That energy can now be redirected toward actual progress, real improvement, and meaningful results. Consider the most successful people in any field. They all have one thing in common. They launched before they were ready. They published before their work was perfect. They spoke before they were polished. They acted before they were prepared. And in doing so, they learned, grew, and improved in ways that waiting would have never provided. Your definition of good enough is probably far more achievable than you realize. The version that's sitting in your drafts folder waiting for one more edit, one more improvement, one more perfect moment, that version might actually be ready right now. The version that's been planned but never started because you're waiting for the perfect conditions, those conditions might never come and they might not even be necessary. Progress creates momentum, and momentum creates magic. Every small step forward builds energy for the next step. Every imperfect attempt builds confidence for the next attempt. Every messy start builds the foundation for something beautiful. The alternative is paralysis, endless planning without action, constant preparation without execution, perpetual waiting without beginning. The question isn't whether you're ready. The question is whether you're willing to start before you're finished. The question isn't whether it's perfect. The question is whether it's progressing. Your future self isn't grateful for the perfect version you never shipped. Your future self is grateful for the imperfect version you had the courage to begin. Stop worshiping the altar of perfection. Start embracing the power of progress. Because the difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who don't isn't talent, luck, or circumstances. It's the willingness to move forward with what they have, improve as they go, and trust that good enough today is better than perfect never. Your masterpiece is waiting for you to stop polishing and start creating. External circumstances don't control you. Your response to them does. This is the fundamental power that separates victims from victors, survivors from thrivers, and dreamers from achievers. Right now, in this exact moment, you possess the ability to choose how you react to everything life throws at you. This power cannot be taken, stolen, or destroyed. It can only be surrendered. And most people surrender it every single day without even realizing they're giving away their greatest weapon. Viktor Frankl understood this truth in the deepest, darkest place imaginable. In the concentration camps of Nazi Germany, stripped of everything human, he discovered something that couldn't be stripped away: the freedom to choose his response. Between stimulus and response, he wrote, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This isn't philosophy. This is the difference between those who break and those who bend without breaking. Your power isn't in controlling what happens to you, it's in controlling what happens within you. Traffic jams don't make you angry. Your interpretation of traffic jams makes you angry. Rejection doesn't make you worthless. Your reaction to rejection makes you feel worthless. Difficult people don't ruin your day. Your response to difficult people ruins your day. This is the secret that transforms victims into victors. You always have a choice in how you respond. But here's what makes this even more powerful. Your response creates your reality. The person who responds to failure with learning grows stronger. The person who responds to criticism with defensiveness stays stuck. The person who responds to challenges with curiosity discovers opportunities. Your brain literally rewires itself based on your habitual responses. Every time you choose empowerment over victimhood, you're strengthening neural pathways of resilience and weakening pathways of helplessness. Victims blame. They blame circumstances, other people, bad luck, timing, or fate. They spend their energy pointing fingers outward instead of taking responsibility inward. Leaders choose. They take ownership of their responses, their reactions, and their results. They understand that while they can't control what happens to them, they can always control how they grow through it. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about refusing to let anything permanently damage your power to rise. Consider this. The same event can destroy one person and strengthen another. The same setback can end one person's journey and begin another's comeback story. The same rejection can crush someone's spirit or fuel someone's determination. The difference isn't in the event. The difference is in the response. Your interpretation of events shapes your experience more than the events themselves. Your emotional responses are learned behaviors, which means they can be unlearned and replaced with more empowering ones. Every time someone pushes your buttons, you're actually choosing to let them push your buttons. Every time you lose your temper, you're choosing to lose your temper. Every time you allow circumstances to ruin your day, you're choosing to let them ruin your day. These aren't reactions, they're decisions disguised as reactions. But here's the beautiful truth. You can reprogram your responses starting right now. You can choose to see challenges as opportunities. You can choose to see setbacks as setups for comebacks. You can choose to see criticism as coaching. You can choose to see failure as feedback. Your brain will follow your lead and start creating the chemistry that supports these new responses. The person who masters their responses becomes master of their destiny. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They create perfect responses to imperfect conditions. They don't need control over their circumstances. They maintain control over their character. They don't require fairness from life. They commit to fairness in their own responses. This is your power. The power to respond instead of react, to choose instead of blame, to lead instead of follow your emotions. Every morning when you wake up, you're choosing how you'll respond to the day ahead. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen this muscle of response. Every difficult moment is a chance to prove that you're not a victim of circumstances, you're a creator of your own experience. The world will always give you reasons to feel like a victim. Traffic, deadlines, difficult people, unexpected problems, these are guaranteed. But your response to these challenges is your superpower. No one can take that away from you. No circumstance can diminish it. No amount of difficulty can destroy it. It's yours forever, and it's time to use it. Stop reacting to life and start responding to it. Stop letting circumstances control your emotional state and start controlling your emotional responses to circumstances. Because the person who masters their responses masters their life, and that person is you. Starting right now. Your past is not your prison, and your history is not your biography. This is the revolutionary truth that separates those who break free from those who remain trapped in yesterday's limitations. Every moment of your life has led you to this exact point, not to keep you stuck, but to prepare you for the breakthrough that's waiting on the other side of your willingness to let go. The person you were 5 years ago, 1 year ago, even yesterday, that person was doing the best they could with what they knew. The person you're becoming has access to wisdom, strength, and possibilities that your past self could never imagine. Neuroscience has shattered the myth that we're prisoners of our past. The brain's incredible ability to rewire itself, neuroplasticity, means that every day you wake up with the opportunity to become someone new. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research shows that people can literally change their brain structure through conscious thought and intention. Your neural pathways aren't permanent highways, they're dynamic networks that can be rerouted, rebuilt, and redesigned based on the thoughts you choose to think today. But here's what makes this even more urgent. Every time you identify with your past failures, you're programming your subconscious to recreate those same patterns. Every time you say, "I've always been this way," you're giving your brain permission to keep you exactly where you are. Every time you use your history as an excuse for your current limitations, you're handing your power over to yesterday's version of yourself who didn't know what you know now. Consider this, the most successful people in any field aren't those who never failed. They're those who refuse to let their failures define them. Oprah Winfrey was sexually abused as a child and fired from her first television job. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school 3 times. What separated them wasn't their perfect pasts. It was their refusal to let their imperfect pasts become their permanent futures. Your story isn't over, it's just getting started. The best chapters of your life are written after the darkest pages. The greatest comebacks happen when people stop identifying with their struggles and start identifying with their strength. Your trauma isn't your destiny. Your response to your trauma is what creates your destiny. You can carry your past as baggage that weighs you down, or you can use it as fertilizer that helps you grow. The human spirit is remarkably resilient. People who have lost everything discover they're capable of rebuilding. People who have been betrayed learn to trust again. People who have been broken find they're stronger in the places where they've been mended. Your past experiences aren't wounds that will never heal. They're wisdom that's preparing you for victories you haven't even imagined yet. But here's the key. Healing doesn't happen by dwelling in your pain. It happens by stepping into your power. Every time you choose to see your struggles as strength builders instead of scars, you're rewiring your brain for resilience. Every time you decide that your past prepared you rather than ruined you, you're creating new neural pathways of empowerment. Every time you declare that your comeback story starts today, you're sending a signal to your subconscious that it's time to write the next chapter. Your future self is not grateful for your past. Your future self is grateful for your present courage to transform your past into power. The person you're meant to become is not hiding in your history. They're waiting in your willingness to become something new. Every expert was once a beginner. Every champion was once a survivor. Every leader was once someone who decided their past wouldn't write their future. The question isn't whether you deserve a better future. The question is whether you're willing to claim it. The question isn't whether you're capable of change. The question is whether you're ready to stop using your past as an excuse and start using it as fuel. Your breakthrough is not somewhere in your history. Your breakthrough is waiting for you to stop looking backward and start moving forward. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can continue carrying yesterday's limitations into tomorrow's possibilities, or you can decide that your past chapters were just preparation for your future victories. You can keep telling yourself the story of someone who was damaged by their experiences, or you can start telling yourself the story of someone who was strengthened by them. Your comeback story starts the moment you decide that your past doesn't get a vote in your future. Your greatest days are not behind you. Your greatest days are ahead of you, waiting for you to stop being haunted by yesterday and start being driven by tomorrow. The person you're becoming is grateful for your courage to begin again right now. Your attention is magnetic, pulling into your life whatever you focus on with intensity and consistency. This isn't some abstract concept. It's a fundamental law of human psychology that's been validated by decades of research. Where your mind goes, your energy flows, and where your energy flows, your results grow. Every successful person understands this secret. They don't just work hard, they focus hard on exactly what they want to attract into their lives. But here's what makes this even more urgent. Most people focus on what they don't want and then wonder why they keep getting more of it. They worry about failure, so they attract failure. They fear rejection, so they experience rejection. They complain about lack, so they perpetuate lack. Your brain is incredibly efficient at finding whatever you're looking for. The problem is that it can't distinguish between what you want and what you fear. Consider this revolutionary truth. Your thoughts aren't just passing through your mind, they're actively creating your reality. The reticular activating system, your brain's attention filter, works tirelessly to bring you more of whatever you're focused on. Talk about money, and you'll notice money opportunities everywhere. Focus on health, and you'll discover health solutions you never saw before. Concentrate on relationships, and you'll attract meaningful connections into your life. But here's what makes this even more powerful. Focus is a skill that can be developed, strengthened, and directed toward your highest goals. Every time you catch your mind wandering toward problems and redirect it toward solutions, you're building your focus muscle. Every time you choose to see opportunities instead of obstacles, you're training your brain to become an opportunity magnet. Every time you declare, "I attract what I focus on," you're programming your subconscious to align with abundance rather than scarcity. The law of attraction isn't magic, it's psychology in action. When you focus on positive outcomes, your brain releases neurotransmitters that boost creativity, confidence, and problem-solving abilities. When you focus on negative possibilities, your brain floods with stress hormones that shut down higher thinking and keep you operating from a place of fear and limitation. Your focus literally changes your brain chemistry, which changes your behavior, which changes your results. Consider the most successful entrepreneurs. They didn't just work harder than everyone else, they focused sharper than everyone else. While others worried about competition, they focused on customer solutions. While others feared failure, they focused on learning opportunities. While others saw problems, they saw possibilities. Their attention became their advantage, their focus became their superpower, and their results became their proof. But here's the beautiful truth. You can redirect your focus at any moment. Right now, in this exact second, you can choose to shift your attention from what's wrong to what's possible. You can decide to stop scanning your environment for threats and start scanning for opportunities. You can choose to become a solution finder instead of a problem identifier. Your brain will follow your lead and start creating the chemistry that supports this new focus. Your external world is a mirror of your internal focus. Complain about traffic, and you'll notice every traffic jam. Appreciate your journey, and you'll discover beauty in unexpected places. Worry about money, and you'll see evidence of financial struggle everywhere. Focus on abundance, and you'll notice opportunities for prosperity that were always there but invisible to your previous focus. But here's what makes this transformation immediate. The moment you declare, "I attract what I focus on," you're not just speaking words, you're sending a signal to your entire nervous system that it's time to align with your highest possibilities. Your reticular activating system starts filtering for opportunities. Your subconscious mind starts creating solutions. Your conscious awareness starts noticing evidence that supports your new focus. The quality of your life isn't determined by your circumstances. It's determined by the quality of your focus. People with the same challenges can have completely different experiences based on where they choose to direct their attention. One person focuses on the difficulty of their situation and feels overwhelmed. Another person focuses on the growth potential of their situation and feels empowered. Same circumstances, completely different realities. Your power to attract positive outcomes isn't dependent on perfect conditions, it's dependent on consistent focus. Every morning when you wake up, you're choosing what to focus on for the day ahead. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen your focus muscle. Every moment you spend identifying problems is a moment you're not spending creating solutions. Stop waiting for better circumstances and start creating better focus. Stop hoping for different results and start directing different attention. Because the person who masters their focus becomes master of their destiny. And that person is you, starting right now. Your attention is your most powerful tool for creating the life you want. And it's time to use it with intention, precision, and unwavering commitment to your highest possibilities. You are not waiting for permission from the universe. You are the universe, giving yourself permission to thrive. This is the fundamental truth that separates those who live in scarcity from those who live in abundance. Self-worth isn't something you earn through achievement or approval. It's something you claim through the simple act of recognizing your inherent value as a human being. Every breath you take, every heartbeat you have, every moment you exist, these alone prove that you deserve to experience the fullness of life. Psychology has proven this undeniable reality. People who believe they deserve good things actually attract and achieve them. This isn't wishful thinking, it's the self-fulfilling prophecy in action. When you operate from a place of self-worth, you make decisions that support your growth. You set boundaries that protect your energy. You pursue opportunities that align with your potential. You refuse to settle for less than you deserve because your internal compass knows you're worthy of better. But here's what makes this even more urgent. Low self-worth is the silent saboteur that undermines every area of your life. It whispers that you're not smart enough for that promotion. It convinces you that you're not attractive enough for love. It tells you that you're not talented enough for your dreams. These lies aren't facts. They're fears masquerading as truth, and they're stealing opportunities that are rightfully yours. Consider this: the difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who don't isn't talent, luck, or circumstances. It's the unwavering belief that they deserve to succeed. Champions don't achieve greatness despite doubting themselves. They achieve greatness because they never doubted their right to greatness in the first place. Your potential isn't the question. Your worthiness to unlock it is what determines whether you'll access it. But here's what makes this transformation immediate. Self-worth isn't something you have to earn. It's something you have to remember. You were born worthy. You were created worthy. You are worthy not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Every human being carries infinite value simply by virtue of existing. Your mistakes don't diminish this worth. Your failures don't negate this truth. Your past doesn't disqualify you from this reality. The tragedy is that most people treat themselves worse than they would treat a stranger. If someone else told you that you're not good enough, you'd probably distance yourself from that toxicity immediately. If a colleague said you'd never amount to anything, you'd stop taking their advice. Yet somehow, the voice in your own head gets a free pass to destroy your potential every single day. This internal critic isn't helping you. It's holding you back from the abundance that's waiting for you. But here's the beautiful truth. You can override this programming starting right now. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I'm not worthy, you can choose to replace it with, I deserve good things. Every time you find yourself settling for less than you want, you can remind yourself that you're worthy of better. Every time you compare yourself to others and feel lacking, you can remember that your worth isn't determined by someone else's highlight reel. Self-worth isn't arrogance, it's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't attract abundance from a place of scarcity. When you operate from the foundation of, I deserve good things, you're not being conceited. You're being honest about your inherent value. You're not demanding special treatment. You're claiming the basic human right to thrive. Consider the most successful people in any field. They didn't achieve greatness by doubting themselves. They didn't build empires by feeling unworthy. They didn't create change by believing they were less than. They succeeded because they operated from the unshakable conviction that they deserved to win, that they were worthy of their dreams, that good things were meant for them. Your worthiness isn't dependent on external validation. It's an internal declaration that transforms everything. When you decide that you deserve good things, you start making choices that support this truth. You stop accepting less than you want. You stop tolerating treatment that diminishes you. You stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to succeed. The person you're meant to become isn't waiting for you to become more worthy. They're waiting for you to remember that you've always been worthy. Your breakthrough isn't dependent on perfect circumstances or flawless performance. It's dependent on your willingness to claim the worthiness that's been yours all along. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can continue operating from a place of, I hope good things happen to me, or you can start operating from, I deserve good things to happen to me. Or you can keep waiting for external proof of your value, or you can start giving yourself the internal validation you've been seeking from others. Your worth isn't something you have to prove, it's something you have to claim. Your right to thrive isn't something you have to earn, it's something you have to remember. Because the truth is, you've always been worthy of every good thing that's waiting for you. You just needed to believe it enough to receive it. Fear is not your enemy, it's your invitation to prove that courage lives deeper than comfort. Every champion who ever lived felt the same trembling in their chest, the same butterflies in their stomach, the same voice whispering, what if you fail? But they did something that changed everything. They took action despite the fear instead of waiting for the fear to disappear. This is the fundamental difference between those who dream and those who achieve. One group waits for courage, while the other discovers that courage is simply action in the presence of fear. Action conquers everything: doubt, fear, uncertainty, and procrastination. Psychology proves that the moment you take action, even the smallest step, your brain chemistry changes. Cortisol, the stress hormone, decreases. Dopamine, the motivation chemical, increases. Endorphins, the confidence boosters, flood your system. Your body literally rewards you for moving forward regardless of how scared you still feel. Action is the antidote to anxiety, and the only way to build the confidence that fear tries to steal from you. But here's what makes this even more urgent. Waiting for the perfect moment means waiting forever. Perfect conditions don't exist. They're a myth created by your fear to keep you safely stuck in your comfort zone. The person who waits for ideal circumstances will wait their entire life while opportunities pass them by. The person who acts before they're ready discovers that readiness is often just another form of procrastination disguised as preparation. Consider this truth that changes everything. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite the fear. Every expert was once a beginner who took their first uncertain step. Every speaker was once terrified of audiences, but chose to speak anyway. Every entrepreneur felt the terror of uncertainty, but decided that their dreams were worth the risk. They didn't become brave. They became brave by being brave. Your breakthrough lives in your next bold move, not in your careful planning or perfect preparation. The moment you decide that your future is more important than your fear is the moment everything changes. Your comfort zone is beautiful, but nothing grows there. Your safe space is comfortable, but nothing transforms there. Your familiar territory is secure, but nothing evolves there. Growth, success, and fulfillment happen outside the boundaries of what feels safe. But here's what makes this transformation immediate. You don't need to feel ready to be ready. You don't need to eliminate fear to take brave action. You don't need perfect confidence to begin. Every successful person started exactly where you are right now, with doubt, fear, and uncertainty, but they chose to move forward anyway. They understood that action builds confidence faster than confidence builds action. The beautiful truth is that bravery is your birthright, not something you have to earn or develop over time. It's already inside you, waiting for you to claim it through action. Every time you choose to speak up when you want to stay silent, you're being brave. Every time you apply for that job when you feel unqualified, you're being brave. Every time you start that project when you're unsure of the outcome, you're being brave. Bravery isn't reserved for grand gestures. It lives in every small act of courage you choose every single day. Consider the most inspiring comeback stories in history. They weren't written by people who never felt fear. They were written by people who felt fear and moved forward anyway. They were authored by individuals who understood that their future selves were counting on their present courage. They knew that regret for not trying would be far more painful than failure from trying. Your future self isn't grateful for the risks you avoided. Your future self is grateful for the brave steps you took despite your fear. Your tomorrow isn't built on the foundation of perfect preparation. It's built on the bricks of bold action you lay today. Every expert was once a beginner who refused to quit. Every champion was once someone who decided that winning was more important than staying comfortable. The question isn't whether you're ready. The question is whether you're willing to start before you're finished. The question isn't whether you're fearless. The question is whether you're brave enough to act despite your fear. Your dreams aren't waiting for you to become someone different. They're waiting for you to take the first brave step as exactly who you are right now. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can continue waiting for the courage to act, or you can discover that courage is simply action disguised as fear. You can keep preparing for the perfect moment, or you can create the perfect moment through imperfect action. Because the person who masters their fear through brave action becomes master of their destiny, and that person is you, starting right now.